So I almost did not record this. I almost didn't sit down to film this. I almost didn't sit down to write this out, any of these things, because it is the reality that I am in my last month as 28. Yo, what's good? How's it going? Look, I'm glad you're here. My name is Albert Williams III, and welcome back to the Uncommon Legend Experience. And I bring up this topic, I bring up this thing because I feel like it's really relevant. I feel like it's a relevant topic to what we all experience, right? It's something that if you are in this season of life, if you're in this phase of life where you're like me and you're in your late 20s, you recognize when you're going to be 29, it is the last year of your 20s. And so for me, there's some apprehension with that. There's some fear with that, to be honest. I realize that I'm getting older. I have more gray in my beard than I did, 4 years ago. And to those of you that are listening, going, "Oh, you're fine. It only gets worse," but it's the reality that I'm getting older and I'm getting slower, not faster. Like, I understand I've still got so many years ahead of me, right? There's still so much ahead of me. There's still so much time that I have, so many things I get to experience, but also I'm being reminded of my mortality. Like, that is the truth for me. It is the fact that I had all these different things that I wanted for my life. For me at 28, I had all these different plans when I was, 18, right? And I wanted to, go to community college first. I wanted after that go to my university. And I did those things. I did, but I didn't finish in four like my goals originally wanted me to. So to some degree, there's some apprehension. There's some like, man, am I washed? Like, am I not where I'm supposed to be because I didn't do those things in those years? And, with that, I just thought I'd be in a different place in life. However, with that, I'm still very much blessed. I'm still very much like appreciative and very optimistic. I have a lot of great things going for my life, but I realized at 28 this past year, as I was going through the entire year, that there were just so many things that I didn't get to do that I wanted to do or that I just haven't done yet. And I just thought that it would be different. But with that being said, 28 has taught me, I would say, three different things. So the first thing and the biggest thing is that I am not invulnerable. Like, I am not big, bad, strong Albert like think I am most days. When I turned 28, I had, all these different things that I was doing, and they were really good. I was doing all these things for the ministry, doing all these things in life, and I had just picked up photography and just, playing around with a camera, and I bring it pretty much everywhere I go. I mean, heck, I'm recording on it right now. And the thing is, I started growing in that, but I just wasn't progressing anywhere with it. And so, I was like, well, maybe I'll pick it up and, maybe I'll just get it. But the reality was that I have to work on it. I have to actually work on it. But that's not the invulnerability part. The invulnerability part is that I got COVID and pancreatitis within a matter of weeks after turning 28. And that was scary. I remember being on my floor going, "Oh dear God, if this is my time, I understand." And for me, it was a very, shocking. It was a very, stressful. It was a very heartbreaking and ultimately a very real moment in time for me to go, I actually, I'm not in control. I'm not that strong and I'm not, I, I can't do everything. And in that time, I had just hired my, administrative assistant, and the ministry was going, fairly well, but also it still had some little weird things that just happened at the beginning of every semester with college students. And so for me, it just really taught me I can't do it all by myself. And so I really had to lean on people. I had to lean on my assistant, had to lean on my students, my interns, and all my staff, had to lean on my wife. A lot of times during that time period, that month afterwards was like the biggest recovery period of my life. I could not walk like more than a quarter of a mile without being winded. I couldn't go work out like normal. I couldn't, drink energy drinks anymore because that was one of the things that kind of spurred on the pancreatitis. And let me tell you, that is not fun. So I had so much kind of happening in that season, and it was scary. It was strange. But I think for me, is I learned that valuable lesson that I'm not invulnerable. And it's a good lesson, I think, to learn in my late 20s rather than like early 30s, late 30s, early 40s, where I definitely am slower and I'm definitely not getting faster and I'm definitely not, doing all these things that I used to could do at 21, 22. For those of you that don't know, I was a cheerleader in college, so I'm very used to being mobile, active, physical, like all the different things. And so in my latter 20s, I have had quite a few setbacks. I hurt my back when I was 25, and it was during like weightlifting, and I put the bar down wrong. And so during this period, that was just that reminder of that I'm not getting younger. I'm getting older, but in a good way, in a very good way. But for me, it's that reminder that I'm not invulnerable. And my question for you is, have you ever been there? Have you ever had a moment where you really realize just the source of your mortality? The fact that you are just flesh and blood and bone, and like the reality is that you can't do it all. Like you can't do everything. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to highlight in this episode and talk about with you, because I think we're all there. Like we wake up and we go to work, we, hang out with friends, we work on hobbies, or maybe we're in school and all these different things. And at some point in time, we probably think that we're Superman, right? One of the things people ask me is, "Hey, Albert, how's it going?" And one of the things I'll say back is, same old, trying to save the world, but I left my cape at home. And it's like this thing that I say all the time because one, it's funny. It's like, quick witted and people go, "Oh yeah, ha." But also like it's a thing that people, for me, to people, I have to recognize I can't do everything, and that I'm not Superman. Superman is a fictional like character. Like he is somebody that is, essentially a figment of our imagination and an ideal that's really great, really awesome, but but he's just a comic book character. Like Superman in real life is non-existent. There is no Superman. There is no one coming to save me, so to speak. Sometimes I can't even save myself, and I think that's why I'm really appreciative for like my faith. And, one of the things that, people know is that I'm a pastor, and I, minister to students. And the biggest thing is that I'm not so like churchy, right? I'm not so like religion heavy that you can't listen to this. I want every single person that comes in contact with this, that they feel like this is a safe space. And so I'm here to talk to you, to continue to motivate, inform, inspire, no matter what background, no matter, what you're going to go do with your life. But I do want to be honest and say that I I really had to sit with myself, and I had to ask some hard questions like, how am I going to, go from this experience? Because the other part of, me getting sick was the fact that it was stress induced as well. So, have you ever been in that place where you're stressing yourself out? Like it's just too much. Like you're trying to do this and that, and your body can't keep up with all of that. And that's a reality. There's only so much like physical, emotional, mental, like psychological stress that our brains and bodies and our souls can actually like handle. And at some point in time, you have to let that go, or you have to release it, or you have to have somebody help you, with that, whether it be counseling, whether it be the gym, listening to music, going for a run, whatever that looks like. You gotta let that stuff go, and you gotta let it get out. And I think for me is at this young age, I'm learning that I have to let these things go, and that's a good thing. But that's besides the point. the regard, like the real thing I want you guys to realize is that I recognize that I am not invulnerable. I am indeed not invincible, and I am indeed human, just like you. And I think for all of us, that's a huge lesson. And I just think mine just happened to be a cautionary tale. But I digress. One of the things I learned at 28, which is really fun and then a good thing, is to, like, enjoy life with my wife, Kat, like with my spouse. We had the opportunity to do some really cool stuff last year. We went on 2 trips, which is almost like crazy, but we did it and it was a lot of fun. We went on 2 trips. We went on a cruise with some friends of ours, and it was a lot of fun. We enjoyed it. We got to go to like 3 different like places. It was Cozumel, Costa Maya, and the Grand Cayman Islands, and specifically St. George of the Grand Cayman Islands. I don't know if that really matters for anybody, but I'm just sharing it with you. And I think it was really good for us because we got to enjoy each other's company, and I got to not be on my phone. Like, I think that was like one of the biggest things, that after the pancreatitis and all the things that, you know, because all of my job is pretty stressful, but I love it. I really do love it. I love what I do, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But sometimes it can be stressful, and I think really just what it is that I put too much on myself as Albert, and that I should give things away. But the reality is, I am really bad at doing that, and I am terrible at saying I need help. So just a lesson I had to learn. But we went on this cruise, and it was really fun. It was really awesome. I've never been out of the country until this point. And, for me, I got to really relax for the first time and not check my phone constantly. Like, I felt like I was always checking for emails or text messages or social media, seeing what was happening, what we need to be doing, all these different things that I felt was necessary for like ministry, essentially. And, on this trip, I couldn't do that. Like, I couldn't check my phone every 30 seconds to see what was happening. Like, I could check it in Mexico because we had like service there, but Kat would literally look at me and be like, "Get off your phone." And so I did. But that's besides the point. But it's a good point. But I really didn't spend too much on my phone. I remember I literally sat and read a book in like 3 days, and I really love reading, and I love everything about it. I downloaded this one anime that I like to watch, Demon Slayer, and I basically rewatched all of that, and it was a lot of fun for me because it's just my happy place to get to watch anime. And if you have not seen all of my pops, and if you're listening to this, I'm sorry that you don't get to see it, but I collect Funko Pops that are like anime inspired and all these different things. But anime is like one of my safe spaces because it's like, this will to be a hero, this drive, this thing inside of them that makes them want to be a hero, right? Whether it's, the anime like Demon Slayer, or maybe it's My Hero Academia, whatever it is, this protagonist has this certain drive about them that, they've trained, and they've done these things, and at the heart of who they are, they just want to protect people. And I really resonate with that because I want to protect and I want to love people so well. And I think the good thing is, like, in anime, I can just enjoy that without being like, man, I'm not doing enough. Like, instead, it actually inspires me. Like, man, you know what? Just one day at a time. That's all it really is. One day at a time. I can't stress myself out like about it. Like, I can't stress over it. I can't, contemplate too much on it, because ultimately, I'm human. And that's the big thing that I learned in this past year. Like, I am human, and that's okay. Like, I don't need to save everyone, and I can't even save myself. For me as a Christian, I understand that Jesus does all of that heavy lifting for me so that I can live life and life abundantly, and also invite people into what that type of peace, what type of, grace and all those things, what that looks like for you personally, for them personally, for me, and all, like anybody that comes in contact with, like in this relationship, how it actually looks versus like how we might actually portray it sometimes. But I digress. That's not what this episode is for. And I think for me, 28 was a really good lesson for me to learn to slow down. However, with that being said, I am looking forward to 29. I think the biggest thing for me in this coming year is that I get to have a fresh start. So this year, I'm actually transferring like seminary, and seminary is basically college or grad school for pastors like myself or somebody that wants to go into ministry, maybe not necessarily as a pastor. I'm going the ordination route, so that's why I'm on this track of a master's of divinity. But I have that, and it's scary because it's new, right? But it's also very exciting because it's new. Like there's that duality in there that, one, it's scary, but two, it's, man, I get such a huge opportunity to, be in a new place, in a new space, get to learn all these different things and meet new people, collaborate, connect. And I love connecting. I love collaborating with people. In the following episodes, I'm really excited. I have a lot of episodes like lined up with guests. And that's one of the big things I really want to do, not just, you know, personally with my school, but also with this podcast, with, what I'm like. So I'm sorry, not professionally, but I also want to do it personally. I want to do that in such a way that everybody I come in contact with, I really want to make a real connection with. And whereas I'm not going to be best friends with everybody, and I recognize that I cannot be best friends with everybody because that's just a lot to maintain. But what I can do is be authentic. And I think that's the biggest thing. I want to be authentic with every person that I meet. And, even online, I try to interact with people here online, like whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, like no matter what I'm doing, I try to just be that authentic person that sees you and interacts with you, not have this like authorized representative, like this, you know, answer that is a good textbook answer, but like an authentic answer that might have some textbook backing, but rather somebody that can take the knowledge, but also be very much like empathetic and in the moment and transparent and authentic and all the great things with that. So looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to continuing this legacy that I'm starting, or like this thing that I've been doing with podcasting. I mean, honestly, like with content creating, I've been doing this for over 4 years, and I've seen it grow a lot, and I hope that it grows beyond myself, that people can be inspired by it. Obviously, that's like the whole thing. It's like motivate, inform, inspire. I say that all the time, but truly, like, so that it gets people like mobilized, and that they're encouraged to like go do the thing for themselves. And I think like that's the biggest thing for me is I find myself not being jealous of others as much as I used to. I feel like before 28, I used to be jealous of people. And I think when I turned 28, like that was one of the things that had been like worked on me throughout the years, is that I really try not to be jealous of people. Like this person got this opportunity to go and, preach this thing. Man, that's really awesome. I'm so happy for you. Or, maybe this person got this opportunity to book this like photography or videography gig. And, one, because I'm still learning that. I'm very much a novice in like photography and videography. But like just really celebrating other people. Like when my buddy Trey was on here, like, if he tells me like, hey, I did this thing, I'm super excited for him because I'm genuinely happy for him. And I'm not sitting going, man, why didn't they book me? Versus like in my early 20s, like 21, 22, 23, I feel like I would have been really jealous because like I couldn't do all the things, but I also know that my skill set, my talent, my vision for things is completely different than everybody else's. And I'm okay with that. And I embrace that. And I'm thankful for it, and I'm blessed by it. And I think that I can be blessed by your giftings, by your talents, by your service, and not be so fixated on why can't I do that. So I think that's like one of the things that I am excited to continue that as I go into this last year of my 20s. And, and I guess to wrap things up, you know, the last thing I'm really looking forward to is helping those that are coming behind me. Like I'm not old, right? And I'm not really older. Like, how people say, you're older now, and they're really talking to like people in like their 40s. And no offense to anybody in their 40s watching this. That is not what I'm trying to say. But like you're more experienced. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think people still view me as inexperienced, and I'll take that. That's okay. Like I am inexperienced in a lot of ways. But for those that are under me, like my college students or maybe these high school, middle school students that I bump into when I go and preach these little camps every now and again, they view me as the adult because I am. I am the adult. And like being 29 and having some gray hair in there also helps. But like I'm the adult in the room or in this specific space, and now I get to cultivate this like mentorship or just this older brother or some instances it feels like dad kind of relationship, and I get to like pour into them and I get to help them become like their best person possible. And I'm super excited for that for 29 because I realize that that's the one thing that I'm going to cultivate for the rest of my life. If I no longer want to make videos or I no longer want to make, I no longer want to take photos or I no longer want to record podcasts or any of those things, I can still mentor people. Like always, I can always still motivate, inform, inspire, just in a different way. And I think for me, that's one of the things I really want to hone. So big lesson that I'm just not, I'm not invulnerable, right? I'm not invincible. However, because of that, I have so much in front of me. Like I have so much opportunity. And I think that, looking forward, I have so much that I can teach others and continue to learn myself because that's the whole point of life and that's the whole journey that we're on. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to seeing you next week. And there will be guests. So that being said, be good, y'all. Peace up and hair grease.